of English to a new live lesson from your English live lessons on your channel Dual Knowledge. So over the past two live lessons, we have talked about two of the most important or two of the most fundamental tenses in English. And these are the present continuous. So we talked about the present continuous in the live lesson number 4. And in the live lesson number 5, we talked about the present simple, which was the last live lesson. And today, we shall be trying to compare the two tenses together, because many of English learners encounter a lot of confusion when it comes to the usage of these two tenses. So many of the English learners or the students of English find it difficult to distinguish between the two tenses in the first place, besides using them correctly or employing them effectively in their sentences, whether they are writing or whether they are speaking. So let's begin by doing a quick wrap-up of the present continuous and the present simple before we go through the comparison between them and contrasting and comparing the two tenses, juxtaposing them to each other. Right, so when we were talking about the present continuous in live lesson number 3, we said that it's also called the present progressive. And the reason it's called the present progressive is the fact that it talks about an action that's in progress. So when an action is in progress, it means that the action is still happening, is still going on. The action is in its middle. And that's why there's another name for the present continuous, which is the present progressive, just for the fact that it refers to tenses or to actions in progress. So because the action is still in progress, we call this tense the present progressive. We also said that this tense talks about an action that's happening right now, at the moment, or at present. And we said that at present, as a time expression, it's equivalent to the word now. So when you say that an action is happening at present, or at the moment, or now, this necessitates the usage of the present continuous in the verb. This means that the verb has to be conjugated in the present simple. Also, the present, I said the present simple, that's a mistake, sorry, I meant the present continuous. So, having the action in progress right now at the time of speaking makes it essential to conjugate the verb in the present continuous or the present progressive. We also said that the present continuous can be used to talk about an action that's not necessarily happening right now at the time of speaking, but it can be happening around now or these days or currently. For example, I might be talking on the phone to some of my friends or to one of my friends, and I can tell them that I'm reading a very nice novel. I'm reading a very nice novel at the moment. When I tell that friend that I'm reading a very nice novel, it doesn't mean I'm reading it right now, because at the very moment of now, at the time of speaking, I'm actually talking to my friend on the phone. But when I tell them that I'm reading a nice novel, this means that in this period of time, currently, nowadays, these days, I'm reading a very nice novel. So as you can see, the verb is conjugated in the present continuous. However, the action is not happening right now at the time of speaking. So in order to recapitulate on the usages of the present progressive, we can say that this tense is used to talk about actions that are either happening right now at the time of speaking or are happening around now or nowadays or these days and not necessarily at the time of speaking. So how do you conjugate the verb in the present progressive, or how do you make the present progressive, aka the present continuous? Well, what you need to do is to use verb to be conjugated in the present. That's the three forms am, is, and are. and you follow them with the ing form of the verb. So when you say, Jack is watching television, that's present continuous. When you say, Susan is playing the guitar, that's the present continuous. So using verb to be in one of its present forms, that is am and is and are, and following them with the present participle of the verb, which is the ing form of the verb, means that we are conjugating the verb in the present continuous. Right. On the other hand, the present simple was the second tense that we demonstrated or that we explained in our live lessons. It was the theme or the topic of the last lesson, which was lesson number 5. And we said that there are multiple usages for the present simple. We can use it to talk about something that continues indefinitely, meaning that this action will continue until it decides not to continue, until it decides to discontinue itself. It might do that and it mightn't. So when I say that an action continues indefinitely, this means that I don't know when this action will stop happening, and even if it will stop happening or not in the future. For example, when you say, the shop opens at 9 in the morning, the shop opens at 9 in the morning. This is something that will continue indefinitely because the administration or the management of the shop have not decided to change its opening time if they are willing to change it in the first place. So this is an action that continues indefinitely. It will continue true or it will stay true. We don't know until when. This means that the action is continuing indefinitely, so we have to use the present simple for it, and that's why we say the shop opens at 9 o'clock in the morning rather than saying that the shop is opening at 9 o'clock in the morning. Using the present continuous in this context is incorrect because I'm talking here about something that continues indefinitely, so I must say the shop opens rather than the shop is opening. So this is the first usage of the present simple, which is using the present simple for an action that continues indefinitely. The second usage for the present simple is to talk about habits or things that we do regularly. So for example, when I say, Steve visits his mom once a week. Steve visits his mom once a week. So this is a habit of Steve's. This is something that Steve does regularly. Every week, probably at the weekend or something, he visits his mom. So because that's a habit, that's an action that happens steadily or regularly by the subject, which is Steve in this example, we say Steve visits his mom once a week, rather than saying Steve is visiting his mom once a week. Actually, in a certain context, we can say that Steve is visiting his mom once a week, but we will postpone talking about this particular context until a little time later in today's session when we have the comparison between the two tenses. And the third usage for the present simple is to refer to a fact, something that's true in general, something that's true all the time, or a fact being a scientific fact or any kind of fact. For example, when you say, water boils at 100 degrees centigrade. Again, water boils at 100 degrees centigrade. This is a scientific fact that will never change. Water was, is, and will always be at the boiling point of 100 degrees Celsius. So because that's a scientific fact that's unchangeable, immutable, or unalterable, we have to express it in the present simple. So we say water boils at 100 degrees centigrade rather than saying that water is boiling at 100 degrees centigrade. So these were the three main usages of the present simple: to talk about things that continue indefinitely, to talk about habits and actions we do regularly or steadily, and finally, to talk about something that's true in general or true all the time, such as scientific facts. Right. Now, let's move on to the comparison between the two tenses. Well, there are two key words whenever we juxtapose the present continuous with the present simple, and these two words are temporary and permanent. Again, temporary and permanent. When we say that something is temporary, this means that this action will continue only for a specific period of time, only for a limited period of time, after which it's going to halt or to stop. Whereas when we say that something is permanent, this means that this action continues forever, continues for good, continues for keeps. So when we say that something is permanent, it means that it's gonna stay true or that it's gonna carry on until the end of the world, forever. So, what is the significance of these two words? It's quite simple. The present continuous or the present progressive is used to talk about temporary actions, temporary situations, temporary things or contexts. Whereas, when we use the present simple, we use it to talk about permanent situations or permanent actions. So, for example, when I say, please be quiet, please be quiet, I am working, I am working. This is an action that's happening right now. At the time of speaking, I am in the middle of work, but I won't be working forever. It's a temporary action or a temporary situation that's going to last only for a specific or a limited period of time. And that's why I'm using the present progressive in this particular example. And I cannot say, please be quiet, I work. Please be quiet, I work. I can't say that because if you say I work, this means that the action of working is permanent. It's continuous for keeps or forever. For example, when you say, I work at a bank, I work at a bank. This is an action that will continue indefinitely, that will continue permanently until I decide to quit, and maybe I won't ever quit the bank I work for. So in this example, I have to use the present progressive by saying, please be quiet, I am working. Another example. When I say, Tom is having a shower at the moment. Tom is having a shower at the moment. So as you can see, we are using the present progressive or the present continuous in this particular example because we're talking about a temporary action. It's happening right now, at present, at the moment, but Tom won't be in the shower forever. Tom will be taking a shower just for a couple of minutes or for 10 minutes or something, and then he will finish this action. So we cannot say Tom takes a shower at the moment, which is the present simple tense. We have to use the present progressive by saying Tom is taking a shower at the moment, rather than saying Tom takes a shower at the moment, because the action, as we said, is temporary and it's happening right now at the time of speaking. Let me give you some further examples highlighting the usage of the present continuous. Take an umbrella with you. It's raining. Take an umbrella with you. It's raining, which is the contraction or the short form of it is raining. So the action of raining is temporary. It's not supposed to carry on raining forever or for good. So we say it is raining rather than it rains. Another example. Why are you under the table? What are you doing? Why are you under the table? What are you doing? I'm asking about the action you're doing right now. And of course, you won't be doing this action forever. So I say, what are you doing? Rather than saying, what do you do? Actually, the question, what do you do, is a question that we use to ask about somebody's job or profession or nature of work. So when I ask you, what do? You tell me, I am a physician, which means a doctor that doesn't carry out surgeries or medical operations. When I ask you, what do? You tell me, I am a teacher, I am a lawyer or a solicitor in British English. You can say, I work at a hospital, I work at a bank. So when I ask you, what do? This is a question about your work, your job, or your profession. Right. Now, I'll provide you with some examples that highlight or emphasize the usage of the present simple, which, as we said, is used to talk about things permanent, things which continue forever, for keeps, or for good, or things that continue indefinitely and which are true in general, true all the time, and so forth. You say, for instance, Tom has a shower every morning. So we compare this example with the example that we gave for the present continuous. When we said Tom is having a shower at the moment, Tom is having, I'm talking about the action of showering that he's doing right now, and that will finish in a couple of minutes. But when I say Tom has a shower every morning, this means I'm talking about a habit of Tom's. That's Tom's habit, which is taking a shower every morning. So I cannot say Tom is having a shower every morning. I must use the present simple by saying Tom has a shower every morning. Another example, it rains a lot in winter. It rains a lot in winter. I'm talking here about a fact or something that's true all the time, which is the fact that it rains a lot in winter in this particular region. But in the present continuous example that we said a couple of minutes ago, we said, take an umbrella with you. It is raining. Well, it is raining when? It is raining right now at the time of speaking, but it won't carry on raining for good or for keeps. It will stop raining after some time. So for the first example, we use the present progressive. Take an umbrella with you. It is raining, but when we talk about something that's generally true or true all the time, we use the present simple by say, it rains a lot in winter. It rains a lot in winter. There is a very important note that you have to keep in mind whenever you're using the present simple and the present continuous. We have a group of verbs in English which we call state verbs or stative verbs. You can either call them state verbs or stative verbs. These verbs cannot be used in any continuous tense, which means that you cannot add ing to these verbs ever, because it's a condition, it's a stipulation in all continuous tenses to have the suffix ing added to the verb. And that's why these verbs do not take ing at all, because they are never used in any continuous tense, being present continuous, past continuous, future continuous, or even in any of the perfect continuous tenses, like the past or the present perfect continuous. So these verbs are called state verbs or stative verbs. And as I said, they do not accept the ing suffix, and they cannot be used in any continuous tense. Right. So if there is one of these verbs in the sentence, and the meaning is that the action is happening right now at the time of speaking, which necessitates the usage of the present continuous or the present progressive, what should I do in such a case? You use the present simple. For example, when I say, how are you doing in your new job? I assume you're still adapting. I assume you're still adapting. The action of assuming is happening right now at the time of speaking. As I am speaking to the other person, I assume that they are still adapting to the new workplace or to the new work environment. But although the action of assuming is happening right now at the time of speaking, but assume is one of those verbs which do not take the ing suffix and cannot be conjugated in the present continuous. That's why we use the present simple and we say I assume rather than saying I am assuming, which is grammatically wrong. So what are these verbs? These state or stative verbs, what are these? Listen to me. We have a list. We have like, love, hate, prefer, want, need, know, mean, understand, believe, remember, depend, forget, assume. So I gave you now a list of 14 verbs. Is this the comprehensive list? Is this the exhaustive list of all the stative verbs? Of course not. But these are the most common or the most usual state or stative verbs. Let me say them again. Like, love, hate, prefer, want, need, know, mean, understand, believe, remember, forget, depend, assume. So all of these verbs are state or stative verbs, which means that we cannot conjugate them in any of the continuous tenses, and we have to use the present simple with them if the action is happening right now at the time of speaking, due to the fact of impossibility of using any progressive tense with them because they don't accept the suffix ing. So for instance, I can say, I don't understand what you say. I don't understand what you say. The action or the fact of not being able to understand what the other person is saying is happening right now. Right now, I am unable to understand what they are saying. So normally, I would have said, I am not understanding what you say. I am not understanding what you say, which is using the present continuous or the present progressive. But that's wrong, because understand is one of those stative verbs, so I have to conjugate it in the present simple by saying, I don't understand what you say. Another example, I am tired. I want to go home. I am tired. I want to go home. In spoken English, to sound more fluent, we say, I wanna go home. I wanna. Wanna is like a combination of want and to together. So instead of saying I want to go home, you can say I wanna go home. But for now, we will say the sentence in full for illustration purposes because we are explaining a grammatical rule right now. So when I say I am tired, I want to go home, the fact of the matter is that me wanting to go home is an action that's happening right now, or a state or a feeling that I feel right now. But I cannot say I am wanting to go home, and that's simply because want is one of those stative verbs which do not take the ing suffix, so I have to use the present simple with it if the action or the state is being felt right now. So instead of saying I am wanting to go home, which is wrong grammatically, we need to say I want to go home, which is using the present simple tense. So to recapitulate briefly on such a juxtaposition between the two tenses, the present continuous or the present progressive is used for temporary actions which will go on only for a certain or a particular or a limited period of time, after which it's going to stop, whereas the present simple is used to talk about an action that continues permanently, that continues forever, for good or for keeps, or an action that continues indefinitely and we don't know if it's going to stop or whether it's going to stop or not, and if it's going to stop, when exactly this will happen. In addition to the crucial point about state verbs or stative verbs being a group of verbs which cannot be used with any continuous tense and being not accepting of the suffix ing to be added to them. Well, this is the very first section of today's lesson. There is a second section which will be brief and concise. It won't take long, and it's about two expressions which are have got and has got. Have got and has got. Typically, have got is used with the pronouns which go with the verb have. These are I, we, you, and they. Whereas has got is used with the pronouns that go with the verb has or the form has. These are he or she or it, and of course, or any noun equivalent to them. So when I say that have goes with I, we, you, and they, it goes with any of these personal or subject pronouns in addition to any name equivalent to them, any noun equivalent to them. And when we say that has, which is the other present simple form of verb to have, when we say that has goes with he or she or it can go with any of these subject or personal pronouns or any other noun that's equivalent to these subject or personal pronouns. When I say they have got, it's synonymous to they have. They have the same meaning. So have and have got are synonyms. They have the same meaning. And when I say she has or she has got, they are also synonyms. So I can say, for instance, I have blue eyes or I have got blue eyes. So the two expressions are perfectly correct. You can say I have blue eyes or I have got blue eyes. You can say Tim has two sisters. Tim has two sisters. Or you can say Tim has got two sisters. Because as we said, has is synonymous to has got. They have the same meaning. Have is synonymous to have got. They have the same meaning. Another example. I can say our car has 4 doors. Our car has 4 doors. Or our car has got 4 doors. Our car has got 4 doors. Right. What are the negative forms of have got and has got? The negatives are simply haven't got and hasn't got. So, haven't got is the same as don't have. Haven't got is the same as don't have. Whereas hasn't got is the same as doesn't have. So if I say Helen doesn't have a bike, Helen doesn't have a bike, it's similar to saying Helen hasn't got a bike. Helen hasn't got a bike. When you say, for example, I don't have a car, I don't have a car, it's the same as saying I haven't got a car. I haven't got a car. When you say, for example, it's a nice house, but it doesn't have a garden. It's a nice house, but it doesn't have a garden. This is similar to when you say, it's a nice house, but it hasn't got a garden. It's a nice house, but it hasn't got a garden. So, have is the same as have got. Has is the same as has got. Haven't got is the same as don't have, whereas hasn't got is the same as doesn't have. A point that's worth mentioning in this context is the fact that these expressions, I'm talking here about the two expressions, have got and has got, they are more common in British English rather than in American or Canadian English. You might find some Americans using these expressions. You might find a person from the States saying I have got or she has got. You might find a Canadian saying she has got or I have got, but that's not the norm. Normally, you find these expressions more common in Britain, and you find them more used by the Brits or by the Britons in the United Kingdom. So these expressions have got and has got are more common in Britain or in the United Kingdom rather than they are in the United States of America or in Canada, because the varieties of English in America and in Canada are pretty much similar. You find that Canada speak English that's pretty much the same as the English spoken in America. That's because the two countries share the same borders or the same frontiers. But in Britain, in the United Kingdom, you find that the people there speak English that's rather different to that English spoken in America or in in America or in Canada, because Britain is in Europe and it's far away geographically from these areas. But at the end of the day, Americans are totally comprehensible by the Brits, and the Britons are totally understandable by the Americans or the Canadians. And also the Brits understand the Canadians, of course. Here we come to the end of today's lesson. I hope you enjoyed it. It covered a comparison and a juxtaposition of the two basic and fundamental tenses that we have been covering so far. These are the present continuous, aka the present progressive. In addition to the present simple, we held some sort of comparing and contrasting them today. And also we explained what has got and have got are, and what exactly are they synonymous to or equivalent to in our normal everyday English, and where they are more common. I hope you have enjoyed today's session, and as usual, I'd like at the end of the lesson today to remind you to support the channel. I really urge you to subscribe to the channel, support the content that we present by liking and interacting with the videos, by leaving your comments down there in the comment box with any suggestions or requests or remarks that you might have. And also, if you want to share your remarks, or if you want to share any suggestions, you can do that in the community tab as a post on the channel. If you are a subscribed member of the channel, you can leave a comment or leave a suggestion on the community page or the community tab. And also I urge or invite you to join the channel by paying a certain sum of money. That's not much, and you can have access to extra perks, extra benefits, which are exclusive to the members of the channel rather than the people who are just subscribed to it. So if you become a member, if you join the channel, you will have access to more perks, more benefits, exclusive videos and exclusive live streams that will be only held for the members. So if you find our content appealing to you and living up to your expectations, do not hesitate to subscribe to the channel at least, or join it if you're really interested in the stuff that we present. I hope that you enjoy the rest of your day, and I look forward to seeing you in our next live lesson. Goodbye and have a great day.